Right now to our interview with the guest of the day. I am now joined by the Executive Director of Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, Awwal Rafsanjani, on threats of insecurity and vote buy into the 2023 elections. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. If you can hear me, now let's start with Inec's preparations for the 2023 elections. How would you rate this so far? All right, I guess
Can you hear me?
All right, let's start with Inec's preparations for the 2023 elections. How would you rate this? How has it been so far for you?
Thank you very much. I think so far Inec has demonstrated the willingness to overcome those previous challenges of ill preparation for election in Nigeria. We have seen some, adequate measures taken to ensure that the occurrences of those challenges have been overcome. And I think this is a good development, and we will continue to encourage INEC to ensure that Nigerians are not disappointed, the international community are not disappointed over this 2023 general election. I think, with the level of work we've seen so far, we have a feeling that if INEC maintain the tempo, they will be able to organize a good election in Nigeria.
One of the main issues concerning this election, which is mind-boggling, is insecurity. Sadly, Inec has recorded 50 attacks on its facilities across 15 states in the last 4 years. What do you think is responsible for this trend?
There are a number of issues that appears to be responsible for this constant attack by people who do not wish to ensure that we have free, fair, credible election, and we also have a change of leaders at local, state, and national level. And therefore, what they are doing is to undermine the collective aspiration of Nigerians to ensure that we have leaders that can come and they can be able to steer on good governance in this country. Nigerians have suffered a lot of deficit in democratic values, in democratic, tenant, in democratic dividend, and therefore the only opportunity they have now is to use this election to bring in people that they will be probably more accountable, that will be more transparent, that will care for the people, that will be very, or rather more patriotic in the action they have taken, and they will be, developmental leaders, not, leaders that are just out there polluting and diversion of public taxpayers' money. So if anybody tries to deprive Nigerians from electing new set of leaders that will have the mandate to ensure that they bring about the necessary development in the country, that's a serious sabotage, and that should be, stand to be condemned by every meaning Nigerians. If the so-called people who are engaging in this violent disruption of INEC facilities and officials, and even some of the opposition, political parties, campaigns, and their signboard, I think we will really draw back in terms of our efforts to deepen democracy in Nigeria. The people that are doing this, they have sponsors. So therefore, the enablers have to be properly arrested, have to be properly dealt with. Because if you continue to let these people to have their way, they will have succeeded in destroying the democracy itself, and it will have continued to make Nigerians to stay away from election, which we have worked very hard to mobilize Nigerians to first register to get their PVC, secondly, to collect the PVC, thirdly, to ensure that they also elect credible people that can help bring about the necessary development, peace, stability, and progress in Nigeria. So anybody that is attempting to bring in a problem that will deprive Nigerians from getting this election to happen peacefully, successfully, is an enemy. Actually, is an enemy, or she's an enemy to collective aspiration of Nigerians. And therefore, we must do everything possible to continue to promote non-violence in the electoral process in the country. But more importantly, another big threat that we are seeing is even some of the sitting governors who are depriving the opposition parties from having, to have access to public facilities. This is despite the fact that peace agreement have been signed between, major political parties, or rather all the political parties in the country. But sadly, we are seeing those who are supposed to be promoting peace, those who are supposed to, do issue-based politics, are the ones that are now, instigating and providing arms and ammunition and dangerous weapons to our young people who have been deprived, who they actually deprive them from quality education. Many of them have not been able to graduate. Many of them have been deprived to go back to school because of the recklessness and irresponsible governance that we've seen. But when it comes to election, they will use them, buy drugs for them, buy arms for them to go and be killing themselves, because you will never find their children or even their relation that are involved in this vandalization and violence in the electoral process. So it's a huge challenge that we must overcome it. And I believe that it is possible to overcome this once, for example, the government is willing and determined to be unbiased, to also make sure that they professionalize policing and security in this country. Because once it is biased and is tending towards one party, favoritism, then it will be difficult to ensure that we secure the environment. But if everyone knows that if you break the law, there's a consequences. If you finance breaking the law, there's a consequences. So people will be careful. But as it is now today in Nigeria, the enablers, the sponsors are never seen.
Going by your last statement, could Inec be overstretching when it calls this a systematic attack?
I want to believe that if there's a proper coordination and cooperation with the different, stakeholders, we will be able to overcome this. First, people that are doing this attack, they are doing it in a particular community or in a particular area. If government wants, they can work together with the religious leaders, community leaders, ethnic leaders, labor leaders, other, civil society organization, media, to continue to preach peace, tolerance, and behavior that is good, that will also allow people to be tolerant, to make sure that everyone, really choose whatever party he or she wants without rancor, without resorting to violence. So what we need, is to have a multi-stakeholder approach to this. If the security, the Inec, and all the stakeholders can come together to identify even those people that are, sponsoring this or that are doing this, we'll be able to minimize this, reckless and irresponsible behavior of attacking public facilities and even the lives and the safety of the election workers that are now being under threat. So it is possible to stop it, but it's not by being biased or by doing garagara. It has to be collective effort and responsibility. Then we can be able to overcome it.
Now let's take a look at these states that have been under attack. Imo State has the highest number of attacks on Inec facilities with 11 incidents, followed by Osun with 7. Akwa Ibom and Enugu recorded 5 each. What does this tell us?
Well, in the case of Imo State, it has been very, very in a state of instability since the pronouncement by the Supreme Court to donate the governorship to the ruling party, knowing that a lot of people believe that they did not come first, they did not come second, they came third, and they took over the seat. So since then, some people felt that there was no justice in that judgment, and there has not been effort from the ruling party itself to engage in peace and dialogue to get other political parties that are aggrieved, so that there will be proper understanding and let it go, so that we will have a peaceful Imo State. But what we see is that there's even more aggressiveness from even the governor and the ruling party in Imo State to deal with any opposition views in that state, and that is not bringing peace. Secondly, the IPOB also have chosen Imo State to be one of the states that they want to be experimenting, their action. And I believe that, all this, there's need to be, having a truly dialogue, engagement, because I don't think anybody wants to just donate himself to die. Just for what reason, for what sake? I don't think, if we are able to have a meaningful and honest dialogue with all the various stakeholders who are feeling aggrieved in Imo State, I believe that we will be able to overcome this instant attack against Inec, against Inec staff, and then even the general insecurity in Imo State. It is possible to address this if there's a political will from both sides, whether it is from the IPOB, whether it is from the government, whether it is from the other agreed political parties and politicians. It is all about having dialogue, understanding, and also ensuring that people are assured of even their own existence. Because I think there has been so much reckless behavior by different sector and stakeholders that is making this peace not to last in Imo State and other parts of the eastern state.
Another issue that mars our election processes is financial inducement. How damaging is this to our electoral process?
Sorry, I didn't get you.
Another major issue that mars our election is financial inducement. How damaging is this to our electoral process?
This is a very damaging sin, and that is why under our electoral law, this is condemned, this is not accepted, this is actually prohibited. Unfortunately, because of impunity by political parties, by some politicians who feel they are untouchable, they continue to break this law, they continue to do, to engage in both trading and both buying. But the greatest implication of this is that when you privatize and commercialize, governance, then it is a problem, because people will just come with stolen money, with suspicious money, with money laundering, with illicit, outflow money. They will just come and buy up the position, and once they get in there, they continue to siphon the public taxpayers' money. So this is part of the challenges, and you will never, with that arrangement, you will never experience any development. Education will continue to collapse, healthcare will continue to collapse, infrastructure will continue to collapse, water, and environmental protection will continue to suffer. So we will continue to suffer the consequences of that 2,000 naira, 5,000 naira that people are, given to take over the mandate of the people. So it is a very dangerous scenario we are facing, and that means that nobody who, is really capable to bring about development, to bring about really good things in Nigeria can contest election, because it has been commercialized and privatized, and it is only people with stolen or suspicious money that can get into any position in this country. And that's dangerous.
On the program yesterday, we talked about money politics, and I'm indeed very happy we're talking about this today. Where did we get it wrong?
Well, first and foremost, we got it wrong from the absence of true political party internet democracy. You will agree with me, many of these political parties, they have no internal democracy, and they have actually made it, impossible for really other members of the party to participate and be involved in the decision-making process, and also choose who they want to have as a leader. But anyone who comes with money overnight, we've seen some people, they just move into the party because of their too much money. They took over the nomination, of either gubernatorial or presidential candidate, or even the senatorial or House of Rep candidate. They were never party members. They didn't even believe in the party, but because they want to grab power, they have to bribe, the other, maybe perhaps party official to take over those positions. And today they are being put as either presidential or gubernatorial or senatorial or House of Rep candidate for election. So with such kind of situation, there's no way we can be able to cure what we are seeing in 2023 election that will come, because already at the beginning, we've lost it out.
Thank you very much, Mr. Awwal Rafsanjani. Thank you for joining us on the program today as we look at the threats of insecurity and vote buying to the 2023 elections. It's been wonderful having you on the program today. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
All right. And that marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight. But the conversation continues from here. Get in touch with us on Twitter at CVCNewsNG and at Olajumoke using the hashtag Politics Tonight. We are also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Join us